This is going to be a tough one, isn't it? This is going to be a very, very tough one. How is everybody doing? What's going on? Welcome back to United View. And obviously you can see it there. I can't hide from it. We're not going to talk about it for too long, but you can't ignore it, certainly given our history tied with the treble, is that Manchester City, if you're just tuning in and for whatever reason, to be fair, if you were a United fan, you probably didn't want to watch the game this evening because you knew what was going to happen. We all knew what was going to happen this evening. Manchester City have won the treble. Manchester City have won the Champions League. They've just defeated Inter Milan 1-0 in a final in Turkey. And I've seen a lot of people in the comments saying pain, and that's about accurate. Ilkay Gundogan is just about to lift the trophy as we speak. Look, people, I know lots of people will be saying about the 115. I've seen lots of people saying that 115, and obviously you can't forget that, and you can't forget the charges that are against them. The way I look at it, when it comes to that, is that's a Premier League issue. That's a UEFA issue. That's an issue that is a failing upon the Premier League and a failing on UEFA, and whether or not that even ends up going anywhere, who knows? City have got a ton of lawyers, and they're going to be bullish about it, and we'll see where that one plays out. My anger, my pain, my frustration, honestly, is at the ownership of our club. Because this was our achievement. This was our accolade. This was our history. And this was preventable. This was preventable. City can do what they've been doing. They can be putting all the money in. They can be spending money on players and building training grounds and building stadiums and allegedly inflating sponsorship fees and all that kind of stuff. But let's look at ourselves here. Let's look at our owners. Because under our owners' watch, they've allowed this to happen. Whilst across the city, this other club, our local rival, has been building and investing and doing everything they can for this moment this evening. What have our owners been doing? Taking money out. Let's just take money out. And it's not even arrogance. I don't even think it's arrogance from the Glazers of the point of view of, oh, they'll never do it. It's a lack of care. They could care less if City do it. Not from a point of view of, no one will ever achieve that again, so it doesn't matter. It's a case of, I don't care if they do. And at this period of time, what a fitting end maybe to the Glazers' legacy at Manchester United. In that, at a time which the local rival across the city, the noisy neighbour, is lifting the Champions League and achieving our greatest achievement, what's our club doing? What's our ownership doing? Haggling. Haggling is what they're doing at the moment. Possibly making a deal to stay at the club with a majority shareholder, or ringing up someone's mate because they want to get more money out of a possible takeover bid. And that's on Manchester United. Again, you can talk about the charges, and it's a valid point to bring up, absolutely. But that's out of our hands. That's something that we can't control. As I mentioned, that's a Premier League, that's a UEFA, that's a FIFA thing. That's a football thing. What can we control? Well, from a footballing point of view, not us fans, because the Glazers could give two shits about us fans and two shits about Manchester United. But what can we control as Manchester United? And what you have to look at is our ownership after being in now for 15 plus years. As I mentioned, at one point, Manchester United was a beacon for footballing success, innovation, and everyone looked at us for an example. The only example we set now is how to not run a football club. In fact, the only example we set now is that anyone that does purchase a football club, don't purchase it like the Glazers, because you can't. Legislation opposes it now. But two, don't run it like the Glazers, because you might make money, but you might be able to dismantle what nobody thought was able to dismantle. That's it. So, I don't do the whole 115 charges thing. I look at our owners. And I say, almost for them, what a fitting end to, again, 2 decades of mismanagement, money-driven, money-grabbing, dividends, bankers, and just shamefulness, really. And that's what we have to get to this evening. And I don't even think they care. We care. We're upset. We're sad. We're devastated. And as I've said before too, even if that 115 charges and eventually they go, you did cheat. We saw that you cheated. Take all the trophies away from you. Take the Premier Leagues away from you. This evening still happened. No one will ever forget it. Even if from the rule books it's thrown away, it still happened. And the City fans will still believe. and everyone would have seen it. And it's incredibly disappointing and incredibly sad. But at the same time, if City hadn't have done it this evening, yeah, we'd have come on here and we'd have been happy and we'd have been saying to ourselves, see, you can, with all the money, you can't do it, this, that, and the other. But this was coming. Let's face it here, guys. This has been coming. Whether it was last year with Liverpool in the quadruple threatening to do it, or even just the treble last year. They could have done it, but they didn't. City getting to Champions League finals and clubs getting close to trebles over the years. This has been coming. This was inevitable. If it didn't happen tonight, it would happen maybe next year or the year after that. This is what happens when you do nothing. This is what happens when you just assume, oh, we're big enough. It's Manchester United. It doesn't matter. This is what happens. And it's incredibly demoralising, shameful. You feel completely helpless as a United fan because what can you do? Nothing. You know, we've tried. The only thing you can do is hope, really. And part of it, I mean, it's the ultimate slap in the face because also as well, we had the possibility to stop them in the FA Cup final and we didn't. And we all knew, deep down we knew, last weekend, when we didn't beat them in the FA Cup final, everyone knew that they were going to win tonight. Everyone knew. And I think, if anything, I'd credit Inter Milan because I thought they played excellently. And I think they did better than anyone thought they were going to do tonight. And if anything, they were unfortunate not to score. Edison made a couple of good saves. Romelu Lukaku might as well retire as a striker and maybe just, I know, become a defender. Because apparently all he can do is block the ball or head it at a goalkeeper as opposed to put the ball in the back of the net. But this was coming. This was inevitable, as I mentioned. And you look back on last weekend, as I mentioned, when you say, City, actually, were they that great last weekend? Probably not. They weren't at their best. We could have been better. That's on us. And as an organisation, as a football club, that's on our owners. And if they had any shame or dignity, they would be embarrassed tonight, but they don't. They don't care. We're talking about people, as I mentioned, that are calling people's friends to say, can you put the money up, please? A month ago, it's still not what we're looking for. We want a world record bid. You've got a world record bid. Oh, no, we want a bit more than that. Well, the bid that we've given you is twice the market cap. Yeah, but we want more. Do you care about the transfer window coming up? Not really. Do you care about pledged investment? No. Why are you selling the club? And remember, why are they selling the club right now? Because they can't afford to run it anymore. They can't afford to put money into a stadium that's falling apart. They can't afford to put money into a training ground that desperately needs renovation. That's the only reason they're selling. Can you afford really to pay the interest on the debt at the moment? Not really. That's getting out of control. If things financially were okay at United, they wouldn't even be selling at the moment. And whilst all of this is going on, whilst they're haggling, whilst stuff's getting leaked to the press, whilst they're picking up the phone and not talking to people and all this kind of stuff, our local rivals are doing that. They're lifting the Champions League. They're lifting the 3 trophies. And now every single time we talk about, oh, we did the treble in 99, they're going to say, well, we did the treble in 2023. And then people, obviously, they'll say context and cheating, all that kind of stuff. But it happened. It happened. And it's on the ownership. That's it. Josh says only one team is invincible. I've got the buttons, Josh. I'll time you out, mate. I don't even give shit. Let's get super chats. I do have the function to get your comments up on the screen this evening, which is cool. JGE is the latest member of the UB Members Club, although you got a green badge. I feel like you might be a member that's renewed and it's come through as a new member, but appreciate JGE joining the membership. You can also join the membership, links in the video description, pin comment in the live chat as well. Jadin says, has been a member for 9 months, appreciate 9 months of support, says, can this please turn into therapy view? Football lost today. No matter what people say, we won the treble in the right way and not buying it. Polat has been a member for 1 month. Says, honestly, seeing them win this makes me sick to my stomach. M. Sati with the super chat, appreciate the contribution, says, this was very predictable. I find it mesmerising how many United fans wanted Arsenal to lose the league to City because City treble is not important. I wonder how they feel today. Certainly, that's an interesting one too. I also saw some Arsenal fans celebrating City winning at the same time as a couple of weeks ago people are saying, oh, you know, when it comes to, we've all got to band together because City are ruining football, apart from if they equal United's treble. Ahmad, big up Ahmad, says, what's funny is they were halfway done engraving the trophy right at the whistle. So effing sus. Well, I don't even think it's necessarily anything like that. I just think that, as I mentioned, everyone knew. Everyone knew they were winning tonight. It was without hope for Inter to do something. If Inter had won this evening, it'd be one of the sort of all-time upsets in Champions League history, up there with Liverpool beating Milan in that very same stadium. By the way, the shoehorning of trying to get Liverpool involved tonight was scandalous by BT Sport as well. Oh my! Every 5 seconds, Liverpool in this stadium. Liverpool in this stadium. Who gives a shit about Liverpool in this stadium? That's not the game at the moment. And I forgot what I was going to say now, because that really annoyed me when they said that. And as I mentioned, it's been coming. This has been coming, and we've been hanging on to it not happening or nobody being able to do this for years. But this, when you've got your records are your records, but you have to protect them. You can't just do them and go, well, no one's going to do that, so it's fine. You know, even like I see Josh in the chat talking about like the Invincibles, whatever. Let's face it, people say, oh, that will never happen again. It might. It might. And then when it happens, the Arsenal fans be like, when we did it. No, records will be there to get broken unless you defend them yourselves, unless you stop them yourselves. And again, it's incredibly frustrating and incredibly sad. But it's the Glazers' legacy at this club. The legacy of putting a club that dominated English football into disrepute, a club that had a stranglehold on English football and European football into disrepute, taking money out the club, facilities that are falling apart, and whilst, as I mentioned, the rivals are doing this. And this isn't just City this year. This is also Liverpool. Look at the rise of Liverpool over the last decade too. A side that did nothing since the 1980s. And then again, under their watch, Liverpool won the league for the first time in 30 years. Liverpool won the Champions League multiple times. That also happened under the Glazer watch. So we're not just talking about City as well, obviously matching the treble this evening. We're talking about our rivals who we've laughed at for decades, now surpassing us in terms of achievements. Not in terms of totality, but equaling some of our greatest feats. That's on the ownership. And it's sad. And you feel helpless. Absolutely helpless as well. Let's see what people are saying as well. And we are going to get some United news as well. I don't want it just to be a complete... to talk about City, because I'll vomit, frankly, especially in this heat at the moment. I hope everyone's staying safe with the heat today. In the UK, it's very hot. What else are we people saying in the chat as well? Abdur says, guys, mark my word, quadruple incoming, believe in Ten Hag. Again, not with this ownership. No chance. No chance. Callum B says, how Lukaku didn't score that header sums him up. That was sum up his career. I tell you, man, honestly. Not only did he not miss the header, but he blocked the other shot. I mean, Edison made a great save as well. I think Inter Milan deserve a ton of credit. I really do. I feel that their tactical setup from Inzaghi was really good. If they had just a bit more quality up front, they would have. You feel like they would have got a goal today. And City were there. They gave them chances as well. It's again very sad. Austin Baker with a super chat here says, if KG and Fleck doesn't win a trophy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that one is. Unless I'm misunderstanding. But there you go. As I mentioned, it's very, very frustrating. But as I mentioned, we are going to talk about some other United news. We're going to talk about Al-Khelaifi hitting out, about some of the reports about him over the last couple of days as well. I see a lot of people talking about, by the way, Onana as well in goal. What's his name? Onana, caught in a loop for Inter Milan. He was really good. Yeah, really, really good. And United have been linked with him a couple of times, and you can see why. Excellent. I mean, the composure, the calmness on the ball, couple of good saves as well. Couldn't do anything about the City goal as well. But he was quality. He was absolutely brilliant. And you can see why. United maybe were linked with him. I mean, I know Ajax, there was a falling out of the club. I'm not sure how much it was with Ten Hag, but he was he's excellent. I mean, because a couple of times you get, and I'm watching this game obviously as a United fan, and I'm seeing Onana with the ball at his feet, and Erling Haaland's like 5 yards away from him, and I'm thinking from my sort of De Gea goggles, and I'm going, you've got to move the ball, you've got to kick it away, put your foot through it. Haaland's going to catch you. No, just stick it over the top, no problem. He was all right, actually, really good. Daniel says if Lukaku was on the grass, JFK would still be alive today, i.e. he would have missed. Yes. My feeling that is if Dzeko was on the pitch, if Dzeko could actually last a full game, Inter would have probably scored. And, yeah. And it must be interesting. What must... I see Abdo says it in the chat. Sir Alex Ferguson must be fuming. I wonder what must he think. Because he was sat next to Avram last weekend. What must he think? His greatest... Not just United's greatest accomplishment. Alex Ferguson's greatest accomplishment as well. And again, it's not surpassed or anything like that. It hasn't evaporated it. But for years and years and years, well, for 24 years, everyone said, no one will ever achieve that. Never again. They'll never do it again. Well, it happened. And we could have stopped it. And it should have never happened. If it was going to happen, it should have been us to do it again. Because we should have been in the position to do it again. And through our ownership, through our owners, who at the moment are in some kind of game of succession with their siblings over what to them is a plaything, a toy, we now have to live through this. Yeah? Incredibly sad. Incredibly frustrating. Let's move on, because as I mentioned, we are going to talk about some other things. We're going to talk about Nasser Al-Khelaifi hitting back at the reports today when it comes to, obviously, the reports of him being involved in Sheikh Jassim's ownership takeover bid. I'm flustered, man. I'm really flustered. Gotta calm down. Now, obviously today, with it being the Champions League final and a lot of UEFA representation in Turkey, there was a meeting of, I forget what it is called. I think it's some kind of club thing. And basically, Khelaifi's the chairman of it. And he was speaking to the media afterwards. And of course, he was asked about his possible involvement in the Manchester United takeover bid from Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani. And he said, and I quote, PSG is my club. In my heart, there is nothing with Manchester United. I gave my opinion. And then apparently, I'm the one who manages the deal. It's a joke. And you know what? I agree with him. That's it. Thank you, Luxil. The ECA, the European Club Association. He's the chairman of that. And he's right. It is a joke. That is... I mean, it was so, like... The Glazers... First of all, the Glazers reached out to him. So if I was him, I would say, they reached out to me, okay? And I said I didn't want to be involved in it. Of course, I know this guy. But now you're saying, trying to imply that, oh, I'm behind this. I'm like the Emperor in Star Wars. I'm, shooting lightning out my fingertips. It's just nonsense. And as it was mentioned by Loic Tanzi, who is a journalist for L'Equipe in France, the Glazers contacted Nasser Al-Khelaifi a month ago. They wanted him to encourage his compatriot Sheikh Jassim to increase his Manchester United takeover offer, an intermediary role that he did not want to take on. So according to these same reports that were trying to throw his name out there, according to the same reports, they're confirming, yeah, and he even confirmed it, they called me and said, oh, can you encourage Sheikh Jassim to improve his offer? And I said no. I didn't want to do it. But now the media, as we've seen, runs with it over the last couple of days, going, see, we told you. No, nothing of the sort, unless you can prove that. And as he mentioned, he said that PSG is my club, blah, blah, blah. He also then said, quote, it makes me laugh. I'm Qatari, right? If people ask me my opinion, I will answer them for sure, and that's what they do. I'm talking about anyone, not just Manchester United. I will give them the experience that I have. That's it. So essentially he was saying, yeah, people reach out to me all the time. He also told a story that he was at the Spanish F1 last weekend, and people there came up to him and asked him about for advice about investing in a Premier League club or possibly trying to buy a Premier League club or a European football club. And he gave him advice. And he said, does that mean I'm taking over... Does that mean I'm taking over those clubs as well? No, I offered advice to Sheikh Jassim because I know him, and the Glazers called me, so I talked to them. And even if he did go to Sheikh Jassim and say, hey, I got a call from the Glazers. They said they want you to up your bid. That doesn't mean he's front and center pulling the strings on this. That doesn't mean that at all. That's just again, very, very odd. Very odd, very odd. But, you know, as I mentioned, we spoke about this this morning, and obviously we spoke about it extensively yesterday when it actually happened, when that Ornstein article came out. We did, Flex and myself did it was over an hour long. We spoke about that at the time. So if you want a more in-depth discussion on that, be sure to check that out then. As MC says there, you know, you guys seem a day behind with all of the news and rumours. Well, you know, very strange. Very, very, very strange. MC, man. I mean, you're right. You are right. Apart from this morning, last night, and when it came out yesterday. Oof. We got to work on that reaction times. We do. You're right. We will, and I'll let you know, MC. Yeah. Yeah. I said I'm rattled this evening. Very, very rattled this evening. It's warm, and I'm having to see these pictures in front of me of these sky blue shirts on the shit. Very frustrating. I know it's not probably a priority right now, guys, but if you haven't already, click the like button as well. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As I mentioned, there's going to be a lot going on over the next couple of weeks when it comes to takeover news, transfer news, and we're going to be covering all of it here on United View as well. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner as well. As Lux Hill said, we've unlocked sarcastic Owen. I just find, with stuff like that, I just find very funny. I mean, maybe it's a case of just trying to rattle people, but sometimes you see that all the time, don't you? When people go, oh, they'll go, oh, so you're slow. Slow. Why are you slow reporting the news? Well, if you haven't spoken about it, you're going to talk about it. And sometimes it might happen late. You might want to take your time. You might want to wait till something else happens, and then you'll talk about it. It's very, very strange. Truth says, Owen, it makes me sick, bro. I didn't realise the magnitude of City's success. I didn't take them serious until they broke our record. Well, they haven't broken our record. They've equalled it. I think that's worth pointing out. They haven't done a quadruple. That would be surpassing. They haven't won more Premier League titles than us. They haven't won more Champions Leagues than us. But let's be honest, the sentences like that, we can't afford to be arrogant like that at this point, because how close are we to winning any more Champions Leagues? How close are we to winning any more Premier Leagues? At this rate, they could equal our record in terms of Premier League titles or Champions League titles. We can't be naive enough to say that that won't happen, because if nothing changes at United, then of course that could happen. If the Glazers stuck around, even in a minority share situation, of course that could happen. I saw a piece from David Ornstein yesterday. I'm not sure which interview it was in. If it was, I would say which one it is, but it was a TikTok clip. I'm not sure exactly what interview it was in. But he was telling a story about how when the Glazers floated Manchester United on the New York Stock Exchange in the mid-2000s, and of course they've got those Class B shares, which have the 10 times the voting rights than the Class A shares. They put in a bylaw into the company whereby if they do sell any of those Class B shares to non-family members, those Class B shares convert into Class A shares, with the possibility that the Glazers could actually, theoretically, be minority shareholders and not the majority shareholder, but still wield a similar or larger amount of influence or voting power than the majority shareholder. How nuts is that? Is that even legal? Is my question about that as well. Is that even legal? Which again just goes to sum up the Glazers. It's nuts. My style advisor says 1, United's treble, 2, Arsenal Invincibles, 3, Man City treble. Look at the teams competing with them compared to United. Cheer up, Owen, you look great. Well, it's because of you, my style advisor. That's only why. And I appreciate the contribution as well. Luxhill says that was debunked a few months ago, Owen. It's not true or legal. Well, I've been had then, haven't I? I blame David Ornstein for reporting that nonsense on me. It's not true or legal. I did think that when it was out there. I thought when I saw that last night, I did say to myself, surely that can't work. You can't just convert those shares, Class Bs into Class As. That doesn't feel like that can make a lot of sense. And again, or even be legal. So appreciate you clarifying that, Lux Hill, on me as well. Some of you are asking me to look at Brandon Williams' story, because apparently Brandon Williams has put something on his story. Let's have a look at what he said. So Brandon Williams on Instagram says, nobody wants a sloppy seconds. I mean, that's great, but I mean, from all people as well, Brandon Williams. I mean, it's right, and you don't always have that. We can say, you know, we did it first, we did, but it doesn't change how angry I am this evening. You know, when because I've seen United fans do that as well. When they say, "Oh, we did it first." Yeah, we did do it first, but that's weak. I'd rather them not do it, and I'd rather them not do it because we're doing that kind of stuff, because we're winning Champions League, because we're winning Premier Leagues. As I mentioned, this was always coming. This was always happening. Last year it happened with Liverpool and the quadruple, and we celebrated it. I did when they didn't do it, and we said, "See, back it off Liverpool," all that kind of stuff. But this was coming. When we're not in the conversation, then it's bound to happen eventually. And obviously, that you can have the conversation, and it's obviously a good debate about whose treble was better. And obviously, I'd say United's was better because we did it organically without spending a ton of money. And there are academy players that did it, and the drama involved in doing it as well. But City won't care. This is the thing. City won't care about whose is better. I'd rather not even have the debate about ours was better than theirs. I'd rather the debate be a moot point because they didn't do it. The fact that we even have to have the debate of whose treble is better makes me sick. Absolutely sick that we even have that debate is now a thing. Our treble was better than their treble. That makes me absolutely sick to my stomach that we even have to have that debate, and that will be a debate now that's on podcasts and TV programs moving forward. It'll be a thing that comes out now the next few days. That is horrible. And the fact we have to defend our treble against theirs, it shouldn't even be a thing that has to be defended. It should be a thing where no one could ever do it because we're able to protect our achievements. And we're not. We're not able to protect our achievements. That's part of the problem too. So great, Brandon Williams went on Instagram to say nobody wants sloppy seconds. What are you doing to correct the issue on the pitch, Brandon Williams? How close are even you to the first team? Nowhere. You know, and it's great. And obviously you've got to defend yourself, and I'm sure if I saw a City fan, I won't, but if I saw a City fan and they had that thing, of course I would back my team. But deep down, of course I'm like, I can't even believe I have to have this debate with you. It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't. It's just, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Have we caught up with the super chats? I believe we are. As mentioned, that's the latest when it comes to the takeover stuff. Hopefully, man, they've got to do something when it comes to the takeover. I hope within the next couple of weeks, because now we've got to live on this as well. And let's be honest too. Like, are we expecting any drop off from Man City after this? Like, you would say chances of them doing the same, winning the treble next season, very unlikely. But you never know. You never know. And this dominance that City have at the moment, in my opinion, will only go away the moment that either they do get sanctioned for whatever. If that happens again, I have no faith in the Premier League, UEFA or FIFA to actually enforce any of these charges. It'll be like before, suspended, punishment or whatever. The only way, in my opinion, that this level of City dominance comes to an end is when Pep decides that he's had enough. When he goes, I've done it all at City now. And frankly, I mean, when did he sign a new contract? It wasn't that long ago. But, you know, he might decide eventually that he's had enough and he'll take some time away or go on a sabbatical or go manage Spain, or I don't know. He'll go to another country and say, I've conquered England, because he's won everything now. That is the only time that this level of City dominance might go away. But even then, with who comes in after that, because they are a well-run club in the sense of they do know what they're doing, both legally and illegally, it would be like before, when Mancini and Pellegrini was there. Well, but they'll still be in the conversation every year. It might not be as relentless and ruthless as Pep, but that's the only real hope that they've got. Or from our point of view, as I said, we get taken over and the club's actually run properly. because the Premier League outrage from like reports such as yesterday, in my opinion, is a sign of them being threatened. People still hate United. I mean, City can do what they do today. They will still not be bigger than us. They won't for a long time. But as I mentioned, even with that, you cannot be arrogant enough with even that to say that if they continue this level of dominance for, I don't know, 20, 25 years, I mean, there's multiple generations involved there. That's a problem too. And United need to wake up. They do. What else are people saying here? Dwayne, one of the members, says, chances of them doing it again has gone up, not down in my eyes. The mental block of winning it has gone down. They will lose nerves in Europe, and who stops them winning the league? For me, I as I mentioned, I see it as with Pep Guardiola at City at the moment. I see it like when Sir Alex was at United, where again, they're not going to win the league every single season, but the majority of the time they will, and contenders will come and go, whether it's Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool for a period of time, just like Arsene Wenger for a period of time under Sir Alex, or whether it's Mikel Arteta, like it was Jose Mourinho. You know, these people came and challenged Sir Alex, as I mentioned, whether it was Arsene Wenger, Jose, Dalglish, Mancini, and they were around for a bit, and maybe they won a title here and there, and then but it was always the constant with Sir Alex. I see that now with Pep at City, honestly. That, you know, there have been contenders and there will be contenders, but there will be the constant. And again, that's incredibly upsetting and incredibly sad. Tough evening, certainly as well. A little bit of transfer news as well, not really too surprising when it comes to one Harry Kane. The latest for him is that it looks like this one really isn't happening at Manchester United. According to the Times, a report this afternoon suggesting that Manchester United are increasingly resigned to the prospect of being unable to land their principal transfer target, that being one Harry Kane. Because of the inability possibly to sign Harry Kane this coming summer, there is a feeling that alternatives are going to be required. Alternatives are going to be looked at for United moving forward as well. I wonder if my player profiles are working. This will be interesting. Let's see. Indeed they are. So Harry Kane, that's the latest for him. Again, we know that fee is £100 million this coming summer. I mean, even that, we know that Daniel Levy is unlikely to sell. The only club most likely he would maybe sell to would be Real Madrid. United, though, that one looks very unlikely. Because of that, as I mentioned, because of this sort of resignation to the prospect of signing Harry Kane, United are looking at alternatives. Harry Kane himself, according to the Times, would favour a move to Old Trafford over going abroad, which is quite interesting in itself. United are now considering alternative options in the light of Daniel Levy's stance, which again, to me, is no real shock. Honestly, we kind of knew that the only place really he would probably move to this summer, if Daniel Levy decided to sell him, was Real Madrid. For United, it looks unlikely. And again, we always knew that. I mean, that was always my kind of feeling for it, because, as I mentioned, if you look at Spurs at the moment, they've got nothing really to hang on to at this point. If you're Spurs, really. You've got Harry Kane's your only chance of getting into Europe next season. Ange Postecoglou's come in. Obviously, some people have written him off already. But realistically, he's probably asked Daniel Levy when he was coming in, and he's in those negotiations, is Harry Kane going to be sold in the summer? And I'm sure Daniel Levy said no. And he's going to run the risk. He's going to say to Harry Kane, we've got a new contract for you on the table. And he might say, you know, actually, well, I'm not going to sign it. Obviously, I can't force through this. I can go on strike, but Daniel Levy can still say, we're the ones in control here. We're not going to sell you. And they risk letting him go on a free next summer. And when that happens next summer, I would still hope that United would be involved for Harry Kane, especially on a free transfer next summer. Just even if this summer we've signed 2 strikers, I still think we should go in for him next year. But because of that, I think United are doing the right thing here, which is not... if we don't go for Harry Kane, if we're already resigned to it's not going to happen, that implies to me that maybe we've learnt from the Frenkie de Jong saga of last season, which is early on, it's very obvious that we're not going to get the player, we move on. We move on, we go elsewhere, we go to different targets. Now, one of those targets is rumoured to be Rasmus Højlund, who has been talked about a lot of the times from Atalanta. Of course, we do know that he's a young player, young striker. 40 million has been the sort of going number that has been reported and put out there. Of course, there is a lot of reservations about the age, and really, do you want to put that level of pressure on a young player in the Premier League? That seems like a lot. According to the Times, as I mentioned, Kane does favour the move to United, but it looks unlikely. And United now are considering alternative options in the light of Daniel Levy's stance on Harry Kane. The idea is, from a United point of view, that they'll be looking to bring in 2 strikers, one with experience and a younger prospect is being explored. So clearly, Rasmus Højlund is that young prospect that's being explored, but as I've said before, if we get Rasmus Højlund, I just don't want to be in a situation come the end of the transfer window where we're talking about, did we get that striker? Kind of. We got Rasmus Højlund, because inevitably there will probably be moments next season, unless he is a complete revelation, comes to the Premier League and scores all these goals. We go, no one saw that coming. There'll be moments next season where he might struggle, he'll go a little bit out of form, or he'll have a dry spell, and then who are we relying on to get the goals at that point? Are we looking at Anthony Martial again? If he doesn't go this summer, he's injured, so it's going to be difficult to move him on. Or are we then talking about maybe we start Rashford up front here? We need so much more in that striker position. We need more than just Rasmus Højlund. He could absolutely be in the future a star striker for United, but what you need to do with those young players is you need to nurture them. You need to assist in their development, not oversaturate them in terms of all this pressure on them in the first place and then they crumble. You need to build them up, not break them down. And I feel like that's what we'd be doing if we just signed him this summer. So I do honestly look at that as a positive, honestly, from that news suggesting that United are already kind of moving on when it comes to other targets, because that's the right thing to do. Because we can't, I know KG was kind of saying it the other day that he's ready for a Harry Kane saga, which is fine, but at the same time, it's kind of a case of we've got too much to do. We've got too many targets to go for this summer. We'll talk about the goalkeeping situation in just a second. We need probably a couple of midfielders, definitely need a couple of strikers. We're going for centre-back as well. Kim Min-jae looks to be that option, if not Disasi from Monaco, and also a goalkeeper. We can't afford to get involved in too many sagas, certainly, as well. So I think the Kane one does, at this point, look very unlikely. See if we've got a couple more super chats as well. All Elite says, don't worry, Owen, we'll just have to go and do the quad. I mean, honestly, if United do the quadruple, not next year, just like even in like a decade or... That's it. You're technically, though, All Elite, yeah, you're not wrong in the sense of the only way to get rid of this feeling is that you hope that one day United win everything. But under this ownership, that is impossible. That is physically impossible. Right, with how United are at this moment, not in terms of players or anything like that, I mean at a fundamental level and an executive level and an ownership level, that is impossible. But you're right. That's the only thing. Amanor, the super chat, says we need to be more worried about Liverpool and Chelsea. Tywin says, low-key getting depressed. Money has won football. Not just that, City have also cheated to get here. I feel depressed watching football now. And Amanor says, Maguire going to screw up the Kim Min-jae transfer, referring to some reports that Harry Maguire may not leave this summer. And as is the case with quite a few signings, actually, certain signings do depend on certain players leaving as well. So, again, that's quite interesting too. I see that possibly, again, Brandon Williams might have done another Instagram story, if I'm... there you go. Brandon Williams has also said on Instagram on his stories, bet you don't congratulate if you was a player, keep the same morals. Sleeping emoji, Two-Face are boring. We're saying he's a Two-Face as well. Brandon Williams, he's on fire on his Instagram story this evening, isn't he too? Yeah. But, I mean, the thing is as well, with Rio Ferdinand standing there, what do people expect him to say? He's a BT Sport pundit. If he should, and I do think it's interesting that nobody, in terms of the broadcasters, have brought up the charges against Manchester City this evening. Almost like they've been told, don't do it. from a legal point of view, because they might even, about certain things they say, they might say, oh, that's libelous, even though they have been charged. That's factually accurate. They have been charged. But a lot of noise coming from Brandon Williams this evening as well. But just like I said, it just feels a bit embarrassing. You know what I mean? It just feels a bit embarrassing. Brian says, I'm Irish and RTD did it earlier, but referring to the charges or anything like that. That's good. That's good as well. So that's the latest when it comes to Harry Kane too. A bit on David Raya as well. David Raya, a player, of course, that lots of people were interested in us getting. Well, hasn't come up on the screen. Don't know why. That's a disgrace and a cheat. Try again. Wow. David Raya, it doesn't matter because apparently he's not coming. United have given up on him this season. It's a disgrace and a cheat. It's not my night, guys. Yeah, it's not my evening. Yeah, the David Raya one isn't coming up. The news is not coming just like the animation. It's true, Josh. It's true. Why isn't that coming? Why isn't that coming? I don't know. This was doing this the other day, those player profiles. I was like, I don't think they're working. And it was doing that as well earlier. And I went, I'll take a risk. And the risk paid off. But yes. The latest is from the Evening Standard that Spurs and Manchester United are both set to walk away from a potential deal for David Raya if Brentford do not lower their asking price of 40 million for the goalkeeper. So reportedly, both Spurs and United are saying, too much, not interested, which is kind of what was being put out there and reported the other day, that both United and Spurs had said to Brentford, we're interested, but we're not interested at that price. And it's kind of, I can understand it, to be honest with you. I think that they'd be looking at a situation going, this is a guy with 1 year left on his contract. We also know you're going to sell him this summer. There is no way Brentford keep this goalkeeper. They've already signed a replacement. So because they've already signed a replacement, it's common knowledge that they've prepared for Raya to go. So if they view that price as too high, they'll go, we'll wait. We'll wait. And I know that people will say, typical United, haggling over money. But this summer, they do have to kind of do that because they know the budget is small. The budget reportedly is between 100 and 150 million pound. Because of that, every pound does count, particularly when you're not sure what's going on with the takeover as well. And yes, you've planned for players to leave, but they might fall through. That might not happen. So because of that, I would tend to agree. I know that, you look at David Raya and you see a Spanish international, you say 40 million, but I almost view that a little bit too much as well, as being too much. And I think United are right to sort of wait that one, because if nobody's put an offer in either, you would wait to see what offer Spurs put in the first place. If Spurs are first to put the bid in, a bit like how the Lisandro Martinez deal happened last year, where I think it was Arsenal, did they bid first and then United went in? And then it kind of escalates from there. If I was United, I would see, okay, let's see what opening bid Spurs are going to be doing. If Spurs come in with a £30 million bid, then we should also put in a £30 million bid or a 35 or something like that. And then you haven't signed him for 40 million, then you get a goalkeeper. But again, everything in terms of the goalkeeping position at the moment just kind of hinge on what is going to happen with David De Gea. Because by all accounts, a possible new goalkeeper signing, Dean Henderson's exit, it all hinges on waiting to sign off this David De Gea contract, which is ready to go, but for whatever reason still hasn't been signed off. It's almost like Ten Hag really wants to explore his options first. And a lot of people were saying it in the chat earlier on, and it's true. You did watch, I certainly did, watch the Champions League final this evening and see Onana in goal. Obviously, we know what Ederson's capable of, but even Ederson, let's face it, apart from making some good saves at the end, he did look a bit shaky in terms of his distribution. A couple of times he was a bit, you didn't know what was going on there, but eventually he gets himself together, and ultimately, as much as Lukaku missing chances too, Ederson was a big reason why City won tonight, because that's how important your goalkeeper is. But I looked at Onana and went, that's composure in a big game. I mean, that's the biggest. Tonight is the biggest game in European club football, world club football, really, actually. And that goalkeeper for Inter, Onana, just looks so composed, so calm on the ball. And as I mentioned, watching it from a United fan's point of view, we just don't see that. we do not see that ever, or we haven't seen that this season with David De Gea. And again, I know that I myself have had my journey with David De Gea this season, but when you do see games like this evening, you do go, that's the difference, isn't it? And that's not me saying, David De Gea, he's rubbish, he's shit, all this kind of stuff, because he's not. He did win the Golden Gloves this season, which is not entirely on the individual as a goalkeeper. But when you're talking about build-up play, when you're talking about, you know, the development of a team and the development of how the manager, Erik ten Hag, wants to play, and also mistakes in pressure games too. Whether it was Sevilla, whether it was West Ham, whether it was the FA Cup final, people can still debate whether he should or shouldn't have saved that second one. For me, he should have saved it all day. They're key moments, real key moments, and we need something different in that position. Or at the very, very, very least, if we can't get that replacement for David De Gea next season, what we need, as I mentioned, is a number 2 that's much closer. And particularly a number 2 that can do what David De Gea can't, and that puts pressure on De Gea. So that next season, if the time comes which we're going, you know what, let's try this other keeper to see how well they do, we can see what the difference would be, positively or negatively, and we can go from there. Because minimum, the gap between our number 1 and our number 2 has been just so big. You know, we laughed, didn't we, with Marcel and talk about Dubravka and Butland, but they should be nowhere near playing in goal of United. David De Gea has been under no pressure with them. Previously, when you had people like Romero at the club, you know, he could come in and do just as well. We won a European trophy with Romero in goal. He played all the Europa League games. We need that level of competition if we can't get that ready-made replacement. But there are options out there, and I always say that there is a select pool of people available in transfer windows, and several of them this year are goalkeepers. We know Diogo Costa is available this summer for a transfer. We also know that David Raya is available this summer for a transfer, and we do have priority targets, of course, as we spoke about earlier, striker being one of them. But I don't know, at this point, you can let me know in the chat, that goalkeeping priority has gone a lot up the list for me. Nothing will surpass the need for a striker, because we do need the striker. But the goalkeeper one, again, watching games like tonight, it does open your eyes. It really does. It really opens your eyes to, again, these kind of big games, what is required. But as far as David Raya, at the moment, possibly United and Spurs for that matter, not just United, but Spurs also maybe could be walking away from a David Raya deal, because the asking price, 40 million, which has always been out there, is reportedly too high. So that's the latest when it comes to the goalkeeping situation too. We've got over 1,000 people watching. We've got just over 300 likes. Let's see if we can get it to 500 as we wrap things up here. We're going to be live for about a few more minutes. When we talk about transfer targets too. Let's see what some of you guys are saying too. SJ says, Steffi Jake says, please show us Marcel and Dubravka again. I don't have that on this system. That's on StreamYard. I don't have that. I would. I need the funny pictures to make me laugh and cheer me up this season as well. Imran says, we all knew De Gea needed replacing, and this upcoming season was the one. It was a natural ending with his contract finishing. Abdur says, we are not used to seeing our goalkeeper do that. I felt nervous watching Onana do it. I honestly, and people will think, oh, you're joking. I'm genuinely serious. Like, I really was. Watching, I was going, Erling Haaland's right there. Be careful, be careful. But also you notice, and this goes to show that players do their research as well, that when Onana had the ball at his feet like that, Erling Haaland didn't really press him that intensely, because he knew this goalkeeper's more than capable of just nipping it over the top. So he couldn't press him because it was redundant to do that. Whereas if that is De Gea, they know he's not assured with his feet, so they put that extra pressure on. They know they might get the ball, and that's the difference, isn't it? There. The Manchukushner is in the chat, says, big up Owen, big up Manchukushner. The time is not now, unfortunately, as well. I have just seen something in the last couple of minutes, yeah, and honestly, I think I'm going to vomit, because it's being reported by the likes of TalkSport, so, you know, take it with a pinch of salt, like that big. Because I also saw them report something today about a Fulham midfielder having a release clause, and then Tony Khan, the Fulham director of football, literally quote tweeted it and went, there's no release clause, so I don't know what you're talking about, which I thought was quite hilarious. But TalkSport are saying that Manchester United are ready to move for England number 1 Jordan Pickford, whether De Gea leaves or not. This is also being reported by Alan Nixon as well, saying that United are ready to move for Jordan Pickford, whether De Gea leaves or not this summer. Well, my hope with that is that it's not true, because it's not super credible sources or anything like that. I'm having a bad evening, guys. I'm having a bad evening. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. I don't think that's going to happen, so... Oh... I'll see if the player profile works to bail me out. I bet it doesn't. Nah, bullshit. No, it wouldn't as well. Ugh. Ugh. No. No. It's not going to happen. Nope. That's not going to happen. It won't. I tell you right now, guys, yeah? If we have a situation where in the summer, I've just named those goalkeepers that are available. I've just said Diogo Costa available. Reports from Portugal. He's played his last game for Porto. He's leaving. David Raya. I know people can say, oh, Raya's not that good, rah. But he's available. We all know that he's available this summer. And then if we end up getting Jordan effing Pickford, England's number 1, but he might not even be England's best goalkeeper. I can't do this evening. I can't do this evening as well. Anyway, that's just no. I'm not doing it. Josh says consider him sorted. What, referring to Raya is just sorted? Is that why? Do I try the player profile one more time? I don't know if I do. I don't know if I believe you. Yeah, I don't know if I believe you, just Josh Media. Yeah, I feel like it might be disgraceful settings. You're an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat. So, no. Oh, referring to that. I don't know what's going on with player profiles as well. It's all a disgrace. It's all a cheat. Adam, big up Adam, says has gifted 5 United View memberships. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Booker T is actually a 6-time world champion. And the people that have been gifted the memberships are Brush, Geo Fortune, The Manchecutioner, Andy Young, My War have all been gifted memberships. So big up Adam for gifting a membership to all of those people as well. A lovely gift on a difficult evening for those Manchester United fans as well. Finally, a little bit about just some extra transfer tidbits as well, coming from the Times too. They said that Erik ten Hag wants to improve his squad this summer. Imagine saying that. Of course he does. Erik ten Hag doesn't want to improve his squad. No problem. With a new number 9 and a new attacking midfield player. While Manchester United are close to addressing the latter by acquiring Chelsea's Mason Mount, they are not optimistic about their chances of capturing Harry Kane. So they're still optimistic about signing Mason Mount, despite a bid not having actually gone in yet for Mason Mount. By all accounts, again, they're preparing this first bid for Mount. They reckon it's going to be in the region of 50 to 55 million pounds, but Chelsea reportedly are looking for something like 75 million pounds, which again is just insane really when you think about it, because clearly he is not worth that amount of money at all. Everyone knows he's not worth that level of money, so that just feels ridiculous to say, certainly. Big up Adam once again, who I tell you what, Adam, you're tremendous, because I said Booker T, I said he's a five-time, he's actually a 6-time world champion, and Adam's gifted six new members this evening as well, so big up Adam this evening as well. So that's the latest when it comes to transfer targets. So big up, guys, for joining me this evening. As I mentioned, I know it's a tough watch, and I know some people might say, I came for you to cheer me up, and you haven't cheered me up, Owen. I apologise. I don't have a lot of optimism to give you. It's very difficult to be optimistic this evening, because the only optimistic thing, maybe message I can leave you, is that hopefully, the Glazers are going to be leaving. But I can't even say that because under Ineos, there's a possibility that they stay as well. So I can't even necessarily say that that's going to happen. But you've got to hope. And what we maybe can hope for is that after a horrible night tonight, the comeback can begin, and the healing of United can begin. In my opinion, the healing cannot begin until these owners are out, because this is on them this evening. This horrible day of our local rivals matching our greatest accomplishment, that's on them. And the only thing we can hope is that they leave. Apart from that, I don't really have an inspiring message to give you or anything like that. But, drink responsibly, gamble responsibly as well. What other tips can I give you? Don't stand up if you're in a canoe. You'll probably fall out. If you've got a fan this evening here in the UK, sleep by it because it's really warm. Not so much optimism, more just sort of life tips at this point. Has anyone got any life tips to maybe make people feel better at this point? What's the going rate when you tip people at a restaurant? Is it 10%? Always tip 10%, something like that? Or is it more? Does that mean I'm a bad tipper? I thought it was 10% that you tip when you go to a restaurant. Always ask someone how they are, when you see them. How are you? That's for free. You can do that. Faith says don't eat yellow snow. Solid advice, that one. Good advice. That's a good one. T-Mill says things always look better in the morning. That's true. Never sleep on an argument as well. Always make up. Adam, once again, gifting a membership. Seven time world champion. SJ, always stand up when shaking someone's hand. That's true. And to be honest, just whenever you're greeting someone, always stand up, But that's very, very true. Always stand up. I always found that's quite rude, isn't it, as well? Open doors for people. That's a good one as well. Tip, don't leave the AC on when sleeping at a hotel, as it can make you fall ill. Is that true? I always do that. Makish says don't poo standing. I'd recommend not doing that as well. Adam with another one. Eight new memberships as well. There you go. Flush the toilet after using it. This is getting out of the range of sort of tips, just more of like, do that. I think that's what you should do. Like, for instance, like if you open the fridge, shut it. Or lock your doors at night or something like that. I'm not sure where this stream has gone. Anyway, guys, look, I'm out of here. We will be back tomorrow morning. There's going to be the full view extra that we said was coming tonight is going to be coming tomorrow morning. They were filmed in the studio. They're really, really good. So check them out. A nice mixture of sort of the match day panel and the normal full view panel. So KG and Flex are there with a bunch of other people as well, so be sure to check that out tomorrow. And then, of course, if we get any more transfer news, takeover news, we'll be here on the channel either live or in a pre-recorded video. Anyway, guys, look, I'm out of here. Try to have a good evening. And Manchecutioner says don't put your headphones on after your mask. Well, it depends what kind of headphones they are. If they're over the top, then I'd recommend it. If you've got the over the top, then you try and put your mask on. That's just silly. I'm not sure about that one. That seems a bit stupid. And Adam, once again, has gifted another membership. Big up Adam, we gifted 9 members this evening as well. Anyway, guys, look, I'm out of here. I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.